Well, hello, this is Leslie Denman, Creative Experience Officer here at Bold Faith Candle Company, here with things you need to know before starting your candle business. This is part 5, and it is all about the Wicks. Okay, part 1 was about your why, part 2 was about identifying your target market and how to share your story in a way that resonates with them, because we're selling more than a candle, we're creating an experience. Part 3 was about the vessels and choosing the right vessel for your brand and your budget. Part 4 was all about the wax, right? The best wax. And now we're talking about Wicks. Now, I'll tell you right now that my goal here is to help you build a profitable and sustainable business. And so this video may be a little bit longer because there's quite a few things I want to share with you in regards to my experience with Wicks and testing and all of that. So let's jump right in. What you see before you are the different vessels that I am testing or I have tested in regards to my brand. Now, in part 4, I share with you that when I originally started, I started with the Libby cube jars, and I started with what they market as the 22 ounce, to market as the 12, sometimes they say 14, and then they have the 7 ounce. And I share with you in the previous video that the 7 ounce didn't sell well, so I discontinued that, and then I went with the 9 ounce jar that you see there with the white lid. It is a 9 ounce straight sided jar that I get from Amazon, and it has been working well. It has a white top and a silver top, so I have both, and it does well. It's starting to do well because I've just recently started promoting it. I have it on the website, but I really, again, as I was sharing, a confused customer does not buy, and so I don't really promote that. Even when I'm out at events, I just recently, and by recently I mean as soon as as early as last month, started adding the 9 ounce to my vendor table. Mostly I just promote my 10 ounce, and by 10 ounce I mean 10 ounces of fragrance and wax in that vessel. And the only option that my customers have is which scent. Again, I make it very easy for them to choose. I remove as many options as possible, and so that's been working for me. And I recently just started adding the 9 ounce because I wanted to just see how that works. And at the last event I went to, some bought it, but most people got the 10 ounce. So that's where I start. Now, the other ones that you see over here, these are ones that are kind of like I use for custom gifts, and sometimes for samples. And I'm going to share with you that's the 3 ounce that I have here. I get this one from Uline. I'm still testing that one, and it's really, again, just for gift giving and special occasions and different things like that. I discontinued the 4 ounce right here, but I got this one from Amazon. It is the Mason jar, and I got that from Amazon. And I also got this one, which is the 2 ounce from Amazon. And I'm sharing it with you. I've discontinued those because when you start getting your brand together, I had the candles up there, you got your wax, you finally got it all together. And I was taking pictures and I thought, those two don't really look right, And you really was using these as sniffers. So I put them in front of all the different fragrances that I have so people can smell them without having to open up my candles. So I just didn't like that look either. So I discontinued that one, and now I've got this one from Amazon, and it's a 2 ounce, the same 2 ounce, but this one is a little wider than the Mason jar. And so when I discontinued this one, I went to Uline, and they had a 3 ounce but not a 4 ounce. So I'm still kind of testing those two. But if you are looking to get started with like a 2 ounce for a favor or something, and you're using 6006 wax, the wick that I use for this is the Echo 1. Works perfect for me in this. Fragrance and wax and all of that. Great heat throw, even in this little jar. Great heat throw. Flame doesn't get too high, and jar doesn't get too hot at the 4 hour point. And again, it is the Echo 1. Works great in that jar. So my thinking is, okay, so I've discontinued that. Let me go ahead and see if it'll work in this one. And it really doesn't work the way that I want it. It gets It has a nice melt pool, but it doesn't just go all the way to the side the way that I want. So I am going to look at it. I'm testing it now actually with an LX Wicks to see if I can find the right fit for that. I don't use wooden wicks in any of these because it that base, that tab at the bottom, it leaves it, you know, when the wood wick gets there, it goes out automatically. And as you can see, that leaves quite a bit of wax. And in a regular size jar or a jar over 4 ounces, that's kind of good. But in a smaller jar, there's still quite a bit of wax left at the bottom, and I don't like that. So I'm just opting to use the what I call regular wicks in these jars. Again, I typically use this as a sniffer, and you will see there's no wick in this. It has about 15% wax, fragrance in this, 15%. And it's really just for the cold throw when people are smelling my fragrances. And I use them also with the wick like I have in here for custom gifts, favors, and things like that. But I don't necessarily promote those. So, and I'm still testing, so I can't tell you really which wick is going to work good in this jar. But do you see how pretty that looks now as opposed to these? Like that nice, just nice flow, right? That simple but somewhat elegant feel that is part of my brand. All right, so the 22 ounce, which holds about 16 wax and fragrance, 16 ounces of wax and fragrance. What worked for me here is the wood wick, because again, if I can use one wick, I don't like to double and triple wicks unless I absolutely have to. Again, that's like more money to invest and all of that. And so if I can get away with one, I will. But I couldn't get away with one in that one, so I ended up doing the O2, the wooden wick. O2 is, no, I'm gonna say the wooden wick crackling O2. I used 2 of the 3.25 in this particular jar, and that's a good spot for you if you want to start testing with the 6006 wax. This is just, it works great. The flame doesn't get too high after a power burn, a full melt pool, not too hot, great heat throw. And so I really don't promote this one a lot. This one is mostly for, individuals who just say, I love your candle, do you have a bigger size? Okay, I try to make it simple for my customers, and when I'm building my brand, I want to build on one thing and then I can add others. But I typically don't promote this. People who get this one, mostly gifts, or somebody who just says, Leslie, can you create me a gift box and I want the bigger candle, or do you have a bigger size? And I share this with them. It's on the website, but I really don't promote it. What I really promote is my signature collection, which is a Dollar Tree vessel, which is a 3x3x3. And it holds about 10 ounces of wax and fragrance. Sometimes I could push 10.5, but that's really overflow. But it just depends. But the wood wick that works best in this for me is the O2 crackling wood wick. Now, the candle companies, they give you a wick guide. It's like a starting point based on their testing. And that is a starting point. And I get my wooden wicks from Makesy, which is formerly Wooden Wick Company. And they suggested an O3. And I got the sample wick pack because it had all of them in there. And so I started with the O3 as they suggested, and it worked, but it was just a little too hot for me in the 6006 wax. So I went down to the O2. The O2 was good, but it left a little too much wax on the jar as it was burning down that it didn't work for me. So I was like, what is a happy median? And I found the happy median with the O2, with the crackling booster wick 0.02 and the 0.625 with the height of 3 inches. And I know you're saying, what? Say that again? I got you. Hold on. You can screenshot it. This is the one that works if you're using 6006 and you're using a Dollar Tree jar. This one is a great place for you to start testing. This one works for me. And again, this is only in 6006. That's the only one I've tested that with. But when I tell you it has a great burn, let me show you. I've shown y'all this before. This is like my me time kind of like my tester now. But do you see how that burned evenly all the way down? There's no soot. And that's me not trimming my wick properly with my tester jar. But there's no soot on the jar or anything, just a nice clean burn. And that's what my customers expect. And that's what I expect in my candle. And so sometimes you have to play around with the different wicks, because if you don't know, you don't know. And that's when the beauty of groups come in, the social media groups come in, because you can ask the question what people use. And some people will say, okay, I use that same jar, but I use a Echo wick, or I use a CD wick, or I use a Zinc wick, or I use the HTP, or I use the LX, or so you get all of these different options that you can try and purchase, like a sample kit, or you could purchase in quantities of 12 and just try them all to see which one works best with your wax. And then you got to test to, not only are you testing the wax, you're testing the heat throw. A lot of people talk about the cold throw, but I don't really focus on the cold throw too much, because I mean, if you got a lid on your candle and it's sealed, when they open it up, it's going to be powerful anyway. So I don't really focus on the cold throw. Heat throw is what I really focus on. That's my primary focus, and an even burn. So again, you got to pick the wick that's going to work best for you. My particular company that I use locally here, Lone Star, they don't carry Echoes. They do carry LX and some others, but they don't carry Echo. And so when I was doing my research, I was looking at that 2 ounce, and this Echo was what really was suggested, and it really did work. And so what I did was I got a few more to test some of my other sizes. I got the Echo 2 for the 4 ounce. This is the one I'm actually testing now. Since I have it up, I'm testing that in the 3 ounce jar from Uline. I'm testing that now in this one, and I'm testing the LX. And then I had the Echo 10 for these two, testing to see which one will work best, because you got to have option. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, because one of the things, though I love wooden wicks and the majority of my customers love wooden wicks, some of them, it makes them nervous. That crackler makes them nervous. They think like something's gonna catch on fire or something, and so they were like, Leslie, do you have a regular wick? And so you have to have, you got to please our customers. You got to have what they need. And so I test in different ones. And when I first started, originally, when I was Denman candles, back when I first started, before my first diagnosis, I was using different wax, and I was an HTP girl, because this burned really well with that wax. So I was an HTP type person. And so I said, well, let me try the HTP in these as well and see if it works. And I have it on hand, but my preference is, if I don't do the wood wick, my preference is the LX wick. I love the LX series in 6006, mostly because it's self-trimming. And we know, and if you don't know, you'll soon find out, many of our customers, more often than not, do not properly trim their wick. And so anything that I can do to create a safer candle, that is my top priority. And that's why I love the LX, and it doesn't tend to lean as much. So it's self-trimming, doesn't lean as much, works great in 6006 heat throw, yes. So when if I should ever, right now that's the trend, the wooden wicks, and you never know, it might change to, another wick or whatever, but I always have options on hand. So I have remember I was saying that when you're testing, you want to test a size up and a size down. And so when I found out that I really liked the LX series, I just went and bought all of them so that I would have them for any of the vessels that I have. So I have the LX 22, I got the LX 20, I got the LX 24, I have the LX 28, and at that particular time when I placed my order, they were out of the LX 26. But I would not be denied, so I actually went to Candlewick and got the LX 26, and and then the LX 10 as well. So I gotta get the LX 12 next, so that I will have almost a complete series. So no matter what happens in the future, if I decide to go with a different size vessel, I should be pretty much covered. And but right now my wick of choice is the wooden wicks from Makesy. So again, I know that this is quite a bit of information, but this is really important because this is make or break your candle. Not having the right wick, having a wick burning too hot, that has a flame too high, that soots and this. And again, everybody has different experiences, and you're going to have to test this out. Like, there's certain fragrances that will burn hotter with will cause your candle to burn hotter. So you have to, not only once you get the wick, now you got to test it with the fragrance, and it's like, okay, now does this fragrance not work at all as far as heat throw, or do I need to increase or decrease the percentage? Because there are some customers that have allergies and stuff, and they just don't like strong scents. So they may like your scent, but they may need you to customize it for them and maybe drop the percentage down from, the average load is 10%. I do a happy medium of 9, but there are some that I have to go down to 8% for certain customers because of their sensitivity to scents and fragrances. And may trigger migraines and allergies and all of that. So again, you have to take all of that into consideration. And I'm sharing this so that this could be the fun part, right? Because it can be a little bit stressful. But when you got people that are sharing their experiences and knowledge with you, it makes it a little easier. But you, being the CEO that you are, you got to do your own research so that you know your candle inside and out. So that's what I really want to share with you. The things that you should know when it comes to starting, what you should know before you start your candle business, actually. And this is in regards to the wick. So we've already talked about the wax, we've talked about the vessel, we just talked about the wick. So what's coming up next is the fragrance, right? So hit that subscribe button. And if you've had any aha moments, or if this has really been great value to you, let me know, because I want to share things that I wish I had known, or that I feel is important for anyone that's in this business to know. So until our next conversation, stay bold, stay beautiful, and stay blessed.